Good morning, Dudley. We are having our first fiscal 2023 meeting. We have our newest member, David Durgan. If David would like to tell the public why he ran for the assessor, what he hopes to do, appreciate it.
No, man, because nobody else was running.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
So we need to reorganize the Board of Assessors and also vote on Lisa and Mary.
Well, I make a motion, Conrad, for our chairman. We have a track record of we need somebody who knows the process and procedure, and you go back the longest for this. I still don't know all the procedures that you know, Conrad, so hopefully you will accept it. I put your name in nomination.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Well, let's make that unanimous.
Aye.
We need a secretary. I would nominate Joanne Simsack because she's been doing it since the last century and does it very well. Do I hear a second?
Second.
That makes it unanimous. We need to vote on appointing our assessor for the town of Dudley.
I make a motion that we reappoint Lisa Berg as assessor for the town of Dudley.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Make that unanimous. Now, do we vote on Mary, or is that your?
Yeah.
I think
I
we
thought
vote
it was
on,
you that did.
I think we do, well,
I think we've always
yeah,
never
because,
just voted on you.
because I hired him,
Right.
you hired me, yeah,
Right.
so we don't have to do Mary.
No.
But I'll keep her.
Okay, we're up to the first one for minutes.
So you have to make the motion, I think, Joanne, right?
You gotta read it there.
Do I have to, I thought
I think you
can't-
can make the
oh, I can
motion,
make the
but he
motion?
has to vote on it.
Oh, okay. I make a motion to vote to approve the minutes for June 10th, 2022 regular meeting.
Okay, seeing how I was the only one there that's now on the board, I'll vote to approve that. And I'll make that unanimous of one.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for May 13th meeting.
I'll second that. David
So-
wasn't here, so he
so-
can't vote on it.
So we'll abstain him on both.
Right.
I make a motion to approve May and June motor vehicle abatements in the amount of $43.68 and 63 cents.
Do we have a second?
Do you have a question?
Second. Sorry.
Unanimous?
Second.
Yeah, you could vote on those even though you weren't.
Gotcha.
We're voting for this month, this fiscal period.
Yeah, this was with the new Vadar system. So it was a process, getting these done.
I know we haven't got the new business, maybe that's old business, but did we confirm this? Did we make that unanimous, the item 4?
David seconded, you just have to say unanimous.
Unanimous. All right, that's what I was asking, did I say that?
I don't remember, that was like 3 seconds ago.
So for David's purpose, Vadar is our new,
It's the new software, so before when I would key everything in the values and the address changes, the treasurer collector would get them once every 6 months, right before billing. So for 6 months,
neither system talk to each other.
right. So now I can bridge over to him once a week, once a day, whatever I want to do. So he'll always have the updated ownerships and addresses
In real time.
in real time. So,
That's good to
So-
have.
huh?
That's good to have.
Yeah.
Are we
So
still
we finally
running,
came up to the real world with that.
are we still running the other system parallel?
Nope, we're done.
Oh.
June 30th, we were done, our
No
contract was
kidding,
up.
okay.
So it was a
No
pretty smooth
glitches?
no, it was a smooth
That's
transition.
amazing.
Their customer service is unbelievable. He walked us through everything. They have webinars, they have training throughout the year, so if you want to watch the same thing over and over again until you get it, because it is a long process,
Oh, yeah.
and it's a new learning curve, so.
Any other old business? How's the reval going?
The field review's done. David, field review is, we have to do 50% of the town view from the street to make sure we have your neighborhoods and your grades and all that correct. And if there's any changes, they change them accordingly. So commercial industrial's been done 50% and residential's been done 50%.
So if someone pops up like a shed, you would put in the shed.
Exactly, so
That's
that,
only something you can see from the street.
they only view from the street. So next, in the spring, we're gonna start with cyclicals. We have to inspect the interior and exterior and measure everything on every property once every 9 years. So we have a 5-year program going on, starting
Every
next
single
year.
property.
Every single
What
property,
if they don't let you in?
then we don't.
Then we have an imagination.
Then we can, we can assume things,
Shit, I don't know if they're assuming.
so.
You know the process. If you don't let us in,
I do know the process.
So it's best to let us in unless you have something to hide, because we want to have them correct. So that's going to start in the spring, 5-year program. We're going to, instead of getting into the houses now, on the back of your field card where it has your style home, the grade, bedrooms, bathrooms, we're going to send a mailer out. You're going to get it, you're going to look at it, you're going to change it accordingly, you're going to send it back to us. And that's if we can't get into the houses, they have that option. But we do pick up sheds because you don't need a permit for a certain size shed, but they are taxable.
anything under 100 feet.
I think it's
200.
different now, it's a
200 feet,
200, yeah,
200 feet, you don't need a building permit?
right,
according to state law.
Didn't know that.
yep.
Used to
So,
be 80 feet.
yep, so we pick all those up, and they did pick some of those up on the field
So how do you
review.
pick them up if you don't have a building permit? Oh, from the visual?
From the cyclicals.
Okay.
So when we go out and we inspect each house.
Okay.
In the
Yep.
field review, they did pick up things, they noticed people had torn down a garage and a
Yep.
utility storage,
Yeah.
which they didn't take a demolition permit on, so they were getting taxed for that the whole time. So when they went out and they viewed it, we took it off.
That makes it, for both people that are listening to this meeting, you really should go online to check out your field card, because from what Lisa just said, I mean, we've made mistakes, and we've corrected them right away, once we're notified. If we're not notified, then it goes on and on for years.
If you maintain over 5,000 parcels, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 people. Most other assessors' offices have 3 full-time people. Every town contiguous to Dudley has that.
and nobody knows their
Including
property better
Connecticut.
than the owner, yeah, yeah,
That's how many houses there are, or parcels?
parcels.
5,
And we have to
5,000?
inspect the land too. We don't physically go onto it, but we view it from the street, make sure it's on our map.
Gotcha.
There's
It's-
about 4,000 residential, rest commercial, industrial.
In the late 70s, we had 18 working farms in Dudley.
We have like
Wow.
60-something now.
18. Huh?
We have 60-something farms now. I think 65 parcels that are farmland.
Oh, no, I know that, but not
Oh.
working farms.
Oh, no. Just
No, these were working farms.
Oh, you like milk and,
Yeah, hay and,
no, that's
Beef.
what we have is hay.
Oh, it's all hay.
beef.
to qualify for
there's-
61A.
No more cows, those are gone.
No.
Cupkeys was the last one.
Oh, no kidding.
They couldn't keep up with the big stores.
Well, that's
Their
what put
milk.
Dairy Brothers out of business, the
Yeah.
big combines. So, so anyways, when we're doing Proposition 2.5, I went before the Dudley Grange to talk to the farmers about 2.5 and then going into 61A. And we had 18 farms then. So, of course, you weren't born then, but.
The building permits are ongoing. I believe all the commercial industrial ones are done. Ian's coming back, Ian's with Vision, he's coming back,
Just so David
couple
knows, we
weeks.
have a reval company that does the inspections for both residential, personal property,
and
and
commercial
commercial.
industrial.
We just don't have the staff to go out and do that.
Gotcha.
Way back when, the assessors used to do that. They go out and measure every building permit.
Now I do it.
Were you?
No, that's before my time.
Okay,
You did the recap sheet too, right?
absolutely. We did the recap sheet. Sat down with Don Raymond, who was the accountant back then. And nothing went past the town without going through the assessors.
David, did you get my emails about taking course 101?
Yep, I started it.
Okay, all right, good.
So,
I have nothing else.
that's your summation of new business?
That's it.
or old business, or
It's both.
monkey
It's old,
business?
old, new, and continuing.
Any questions that you have, David?
Yeah, I guess so. I have one question. What's our role gonna be in all these betterment, when they start these road betterment?
We have no role
process?
other than to collect the money.
Yeah.
So, well, we maintain the spreadsheet and the
We-
time period term, but all we do is put it on the
If
bill.
you're asking who sets the dollar amount,
Well, it says in the law that we set the dollar amount.
no, we don't.
No,
No.
no.
So that's
God, no.
done by, so what they do is they
You
take.
talking about road betterment, sewer
Yeah,
betterments?
Like
No.
this road betterment they got coming
Yeah,
up?
so the selectmen, the selectmen and highway department contractor somehow has an engineer
Yeah.
that says, this is what the cost is gonna be. So
And
then they take,
decide whether it's gonna be the front foot or per lot or
Yeah,
whatever.
I
Not
don't get
us.
that part, but I mean, after that, it says that it goes through the
No,
assessors.
we
No,
collect
we-
the funds, that's
so
it.
we,
That's it?
it's maintained in our office on a spreadsheet. And I don't know how the Vadar system works, but we will I'll have to go through each one of them every year, key in what their principal interest is to be printed on the bill.
Pain in the ass.
And that's the only thing that we have to do with it. So the selectmen and highway come up with the dollar amount, they decide on the interest rate, they send me the dollar amount, and we prorate it over the,
Or if it's
Oh,
water,
is it at
sewer,
20
goes through that
years or
department.
whatever it was. And all we do is just maintain,
We collect the
keying
money.
it in. We put it
We
on the
collect the
bill.
money.
Yeah.
Doesn't Richard collect the money?
And Rich collects the money, yeah.
Yes.
And
We
he
don't
does
have
a
to do
sign off. There'll be a lien on the property and he'll
When
do
you
the
say we don't have
payoff.
to do anything, did you hear what she said about having every year to do principal?
Right.
Yeah.
If you have 500, she has to do the 500 manual principal entrance
Gotcha.
into the
Principal and
logs.
interest, yeah.
So
And if they pay off early, then
then we have to do the abatement.
we calculate the interest. We do
Oh, they
it,
have that option to pay off early,
Oh, yeah.
individually or
Yep.
like collectively?
Well, if they sell the house,
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's something else.
and some of them just say, well, it's not that much money, or they have a lot of money, and they'll just say, I'm not paying all that interest, so they just pay the whole thing off in 1 year.
yeah, because it used to be 14% interest. I don't know what it is now.
What were they looking at? We can go, they say
It was
2%.
18% on unpaid taxes.
Yeah, no, it's not that high. I thought it was gonna be 6. It's whatever the interest rate is, and I think we can add 2% to that or something like that, so.
Years ago, people used to assume betterments. I haven't seen that in years that any banks allow you
Banks,
now
yeah,
to
the banks
assume
won't
them.
now.
So that used to be a little bit different scenario. So it's
Well,
basically,
do you remember Webster Lake? What they were doing is they were suing the whole lake, David. And on the municipal lien certificates that every lender would get, it said on there, sewer assessment coming with no dollar amount.
yeah.
So the banks had no idea what to do for escrow. I mean, it was a mess.
So I think when we had our water sewer betterments that were just finished up in 19, that was a 20-year program. A lot of people did pay off early, and some did assume it, because I noticed the name changes. But the banks do not
No.
pay that. They won't pay your betterment, only your
It's like having
Mortgage.
a solar
on your house.
equipment lien. It's called UCC1 that tells everybody there's a personal property loan. And you can't assume those either. They have to be paid off or,
So I think at town meeting, only Partridge Hill's done, by the way. Their road is done.
oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Accepted?
No,
Oh.
they agreed at town meeting to accept the betterment. So
Accept the betterment, okay.
the
For the
road
road
betterment.
cost,
The
yep.
other two,
They being the residents.
yes. I think there was only 10 people on that street that did it. I believe Jeff said it's done. And so their betterment, I believe, starts in 24 or 25, I can't remember.
That's more than 10.
Yeah, I would have thought so, but.
No, because the road's not all town accepted. A lot
I
of it's
know,
private.
I don't understand how that first 2/3 could be private, and then the last can be, it doesn't make sense.
What's the first part of the road that's accepted?
No.
That's private, and then the end of it
Right.
is? Oh.
You can't do that, well, you never used to be
I
able to
thought it
do
was the
that.
opposite.
Yeah, that was years ago, though, so.
I know, it's a crazy, I don't know how you,
So I think Tobin Farm, I want to say, if it's that one, they're going to relook at it. down the road. They just didn't want it passed at town meeting, and
So
then,
do they get a cost on bringing that up to,
yeah,
do you know what that is?
I don't off the top of my
It was
head, I
like
have
something like 400 grand, something like that.
something like
And
that.
how many
District-
people?
I don't know. Gotta be at
There
least
was,
30, 40.
I think there was 40 in Tobin, 10 on Partridge, and 10 on,
So 4,400 grand, that's
yeah,
10 grand
so-
apiece.
yeah,
That's
let me
not
see.
bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
It's a lot though if you have a mortgage on your house and you add that to
Well-
it, but I mean, it benefits the.
Over 20 years, you're
road.
talking $500 a year, or, I mean, that's not a lot of money.
And it
$40 a month?
enhances your property. You're now on a publicly maintained
Or you can get it
road.
financed
Yeah.
easier.
Right.
It is an interesting thing how people do not understand process. I've served on so many different boards. I mean, I've been on economic, I've been a selectman. People don't understand what comes under what board, what authority you have, and what your limitations are, and what the jobs are. They should have a master sheet that shows even,
Yeah.
what is it the assessors do? What is it the selectmen do? Because people don't get, a lot of things are not under a particular board's control. It comes under another one. Even when I'm teaching real estate classes, I say to them, tell me what the assessors do. And I come up with a list of about 25 things, and these people think all you do
Three.
is 2 or 3 things. It's amazing to me, or what our scope is. They think
Well,
we set the tax rate.
Right.
Well, I'm hoping some of the real estate agents that came to my office didn't take your class.
Oh, yeah?
'Cause some of them want to know, want me to tell them what is allowed in such and such a zoning.
Oh, yeah. They
Or
don't
if
get it.
something can
Yeah.
be built, and I'm like, go upstairs.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I just maintain that this is the zone you're in.
Well, it's amazing how little discretion we have because of the Department of Revenue.
Yeah.
They're the ones that dictate everything we do. I think the only thing we got control is the building. Everything else is Department of Revenue.
Yeah. It is
I mean, it's
interesting.
just,
We don't do it right, we're not getting our tax rate set or our values set.
Well, I love it that they all think we're responsible for the fact they pay higher taxes, and you say, stop spending money. It's a question of what you have to raise, the amount of parcels you have, divide it out, and that's what's gonna determine your tax
But it's
rate.
even more disturbing is they don't understand the concept of 2.5.
Yeah,
People think when the assessed value goes up, their taxes go up.
no,
When the assessed value goes up, the tax rate goes down, because if you were paying $100 or $1,000 the year before, now you're gonna pay $1,025. That's it.
yeah.
You can't, unless you did building improvements or something like that.
Right.
But,
Do we have any upcoming deadlines for people that need to file any kind of paperwork to get assistance on
Yeah.
their taxes? Could
So,
you-
in January, we sent out the income and expense forms to all commercial and industrial properties in any apartment building 8 units or over. And they have to send that in. Real estate will get fined $50 for not sending it in, and commercial and industrial will get fined $250.
why is it 8 units? I thought it used to be 5 units or more.
You're right, 5 units.
Okay.
4 and under, we don't have to send
Right,
them.
right.
What else did we send out? The 3 ABCs, the charitable forms, I believe those all came back so that they can stay exempt. And Mary just sent out a few days ago the exemption, real estate exemptions. And she did a
Real
really
estate
good job. She
assumptions?
filled in everything. She went person by person. She filled in their assessment. She filled everything out. Basically,
I'm
all
sorry, I
they
didn't
have
hear
to
what
do
you
is sign
said, real estate assumptions?
exemptions.
Exemptions, okay. I'll turn the hearing aid up.
So she made it easier for them. I'm processing the chapter lands now.
Again, 61A, we do not determine the value, the cost per value, the assessed value.
Per acre.
Per acre. That's done by the Department of Revenue. We have very little
We
leeway.
we vote on below average, average, and above average. And we always take the middle of the road.
You're talking about buildings.
The price per acre on the
Oh,
on
okay,
the
yes,
chapter
yes,
land.
yes. So,
So that's a local option of what we choose.
I mean, if somebody comes into us and says, I want an abatement because my land doesn't perk, or it's all wet, or something like that. Well, again, because of the Department of Revenue, we need to have them do a perk test to show it's unbuildable. It's, they
And
come
then
in-
I get a determination letter from whatever department determines it unbuildable.
Right,
Scan that in, because I don't just change them to unbuildable because the taxpayer says they're unbuildable.
no. Oh, God.
As you know, there's been many wetlands that couldn't be
Oh,
built on,
oh
that are
my
built
God.
on.
Yeah.
Well, what happens, they change the perk rate from 30 to 60, and I don't think there's a piece of land you can't build on now.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You can build in water.
Spend enough money, I guess you can put
Yes.
in a system.
And we don't determine if something's wet. Like, I don't go out there and say, yeah, there's
No,
skunk
no,
cabbage.
no, no.
We have a wetland scientist that goes out and does that.
Yeah.
So. And I think a certain percentage has to be dry, right, to build on,
Well, it's.
of the whole parcel,
As the planning board will tell you, you have a percentage of uplands,
uplands.
so, and I don't remember what those numbers are, but you have to have enough upland to build on. So, anything else you got a question on, David?
No, not yet. Got 3 years, I guess, to ask me questions.
Well, you'll learn as you go,
Yeah.
too, so.
Anything else, Joanne?
No, no. We're moving along. It's just been an interesting year for real estate. I don't know how you're keeping up with understanding what the values are. We're in the business, and it's like every day I am amazed that property is selling for what it's selling, which won't impact us this year, but a year from.
And again, the Department of Revenue has something called the coefficient of dispersion. That means if you have a property that's worth $100, you can have the assessed value at 110, or you can have it at 90. That's your range. Right now, our coefficient of dispersion, because of what Joanna said, we got properties that are assessed for 400 grand, selling for 600. And again, because we're 18 months behind, our value for this fiscal year '23 was determined as of January 1st, 2022.
But the good
Do
thing
you
is,
understand that?
Yep.
Okay.
the good thing is though, we can look forward because we'll be 6 months into the new year. So we can
No,
see what the market's
I
doing.
understand that, but our values for an abatement, somebody came in for an abatement, you have to show values of January 1, 2022, not 23.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And that's because the DOR makes us do this on calendar year, even though everything else is
well, we run on,
fiscal
yeah,
year.
I mean, yes.
We run on fiscal year, but they make
Right.
us do calendar sales.
So that's why we're 18 months behind.
Yeah, no, it is our job to stay on top of these, because if we don't stay in tune with what we can raise money for the town, it's gonna limit what can happen as far as what your spending ability is gonna be for a town.
Well, we have what's called an overlay account, and that money is put aside for abatements. Those that are mandatory through DOR, those are widows and other blind and other people's exemptions. And I remember, I can't remember, it was the 90s or the early 2000s when condos took a huge drop.
I remember.
And we had the reval company doing their work, and they didn't take it into consideration. So Joanne and I, were you on board then?
Yeah, I was.
No,
Oh, Lisa,
Right.
I don't
I
remember.
can't remember.
I
But
think
anyways,
you are.
we took down the condos as a group. Every condo we took down. So that when the abatements came, we didn't screw up the overlay account,
Yeah,
because we would have had, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of
And just the
abatements.
exemptions alone are over $95,000 coming out of overlay. So that's not even abatements, so you have to,
I know.
And
So our
our-
abatement account runs, what, $120,000 a year?
so it's not a lot.
Again, that's money we put aside, David, for all these abatements. We had, in the past, we had the National Grid and the whole
Verizon.
utility companies suing the Department of Revenue. So we had $10,000 put aside each year for that abatement.
At least.
Yeah, I think we wound up with 100 grand in the account at one point, because we knew the state was gonna lose. And so we had to keep putting that money.
And they did.
And
we
they
had
did
to pay
lose.
the
Oh, I
interest
know.
on- Interest on top of it.
Oh, I know, it was awful. Awful.
Those are all gone now, thank God.
do you think we're ever gonna get more help into our department to be
No.
able to do?
No,
So I am working on, we sent in our evaluations, and I put in it's not a grievance, I forgot what the term was, but I'm asking to make her assistant.
Yeah, it's a
bump her up-
readjustment
bump
of
her
the
up a grade,
position.
and because
It's-
when she first came in, she was very eager to learn, and she said she wanted to go out on building permits. I said, well, come on out with me, I'll show you how it's done. So we'd put a time aside and we'd go out, we'd do them together, we'd get them done really quickly. But when the fire department calls me to go out on sales, and I'm not here, we don't get that inspection, and the DOI requires that we go out on every sale. So, she was doing a lot of the assessor work in my absence, defending values,
Oh, I know.
those kind of things, and getting, but being in a clerk position. And with only 2 people in the office, if you had a third person, that third person would be out mostly doing building permits and capturing the new growth and keying it all in. So this has to be split between me and Mary. So when she didn't get an increase in her grade, I told her to go back to just the clerk work. You know, you do the job that you get paid for that's in your job description, nothing more.
Yep.
So we have that filed now with Jonathan to see if we can bring her, change her
Well,
title and bring her up a
It took
grade.
us 4 years to get yours corrected.
I didn't get an increase in my salary for the first 12 years I was here.
But you were classified incorrectly.
I was.
To answer your question, Joanne, about more help, and this is not a knock on anybody, but the teachers go in, they vote the school budget, there's more of them than there are general government, and so with Proposition 2.5, if they vote in a 4% raise, then general government has to decrease their budget to match the 2.5% that we can only go up. So I remember the 3 assessors, as I said, used to go up, cost the town, I think, 15 grand. Now we're paying $50,000 or $60,000 for an outside company to do what we used to do because somebody thought it'd be more efficient and take the salary away from the assessors. I mean, that's the kind of thinking that has devastated this office.
Well, I honestly think we have to go back in proposing budgets to work on a couple of things. One is education, and another is skills in dealing with the public. I remember when people from the town hall had to go and take classes and seminars on how to deal with the public. In a world that's litigious today, you have to watch every word you say in dealing with people. And we no longer make people aware of those needed skills because it falls back on us. We can be sued individually, we can be sued collectively as boards, as representatives. And I think people need to understand that you need to keep your people who work in government
Well,
aware of these things and improve their skills. For instance, we may have a clerk, but she can't get to another level to understand process if she doesn't take some of the courses. And why should she be paying $600 to take a course to do her job better for the town that we benefit from? It may not move her along in
And her
job
not get paid.
position.
And that's
Yeah,
exactly what
exactly.
happened, is Mary started taking the
I know
assessor's
that.
course.
I know
And I
that.
said, no, if they're not gonna change your title, bump you up a grade, you're not gonna do all this extra and not get paid for it.
But the problem is it puts more onus on you for things to be done.
When I leave for vacation for 10 days, that
Yeah.
10 days is a long time for her to have to explain things or say, wait till Lisa gets back.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to start looking and change our budget and be putting it, I don't care whether other departments want to do it or not. I think we need to be proactive to protect the public because we are the source of all the money that comes into this town. And if we're not right on the numbers, you're not going to collect the kind of money you should have collected.
Or if we don't have the tax rate on time, if we don't do a half a dozen other things, this town doesn't get their money on
That's
a
right.
timely basis.
So I think it's something, maybe at the next meeting, I'm gonna submit a couple of things I think we need to start. I know budgets don't come up for a while, but if you don't start your campaign early enough to educate the public, and that's the opportunity we have by being televised on why we wanna do something.
I have to tell you, the most effective person that ever ran their department and got what they wanted was his wife, Carol Barron. She would go for a town meeting, She was so damn effective on why she needed this, why that had to be done, and she got it voted through.
Yep.
But that cannibalized other parts of general government because her department went up. So it's a equity issue that you have, Joanne, too. I mean, who do you take away?
Well, I think when you educate people as to the why, the
Yeah.
reaction is a little bit different. That in the long run, they in the community benefit from having a more efficiently run department.
Do you, with all due respect to some of our elected officials, do you think they know what the assessors department does?
No, and that's why, but repetition, people to understand
They don't know what
something,
2.5% is.
have to hear it 7 times to remember what you
Exactly.
said. That's just a fact
Yeah.
for education. So I think at each meeting, we need to bring up on what we want to do to make our department better, why we want to do that. I mean, it took us a long time for people to understand the assessor is going through with the fire department, not because they think it's a fun idea, but it's to update our records to be accurate in what we have.
It's required by the DOR, I have to.
But a
They don't have to
perfect-
let me in. They don't have to let me in.
No, but a perfect example, David's pretty knowledgeable, and he thought we set all of the cost on betterments,
No,
where we just collect the money, we're just a follow-through, a
We
conduit.
don't collect anything.
We just report.
yeah, record keeping. We do a lot of record keeping. We're a source for all of
And
that.
why we do for water and sewer is beyond me. It's something that started a long time ago. They have their own enterprise. That's when it should have ended.
But I think that's state law, that we have to maintain it, and we have to bill it.
Even when you have an enterprise?
Yep.
They're an entity unto their own.
But we also collect for enterprise too,
Well,
so.
we don't collect, we do the reporting, the accounting.
I mean, the collector collects
Right.
for them.
Right, I misstated
Yeah.
that too,
Yeah.
David, but we are the reporting entity.
I wonder if it's because it's an assessment. It's a
No,
betterment.
it's not an assessment, it's a betterment.
A betterment assessment.
No, they're two distinct things. A betterment is for the betterment of the property. An assessment is what it's worth
Yeah.
from a tax standpoint. But betterments, first of all, betterments are not done on your property. They're done on town property. Oh, I gotta take this. Excuse me.
All right.
Can you do the 12th, Conrad?
Yes.
Okay,
Hi, Jeremy.
then why don't we do that? I make a motion that we hold our next meeting on August 12th, if that is agreeable, and check your schedule, okay? So if you would
Second that.
second that,
Second that.
okay?
All right. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second that.
Okay.
34.
Let him leave the room for a minute, we took care of everything.
That's right. You shut him right down.